the link before it goes live, or?
We are live. What were you wondering about?
Oh, if the link can be shared before, but anyways, go ahead.
Oh, you can share it during.
Okay.
Yep. And our other Josh has it. He is on the road though, so he may not be able to come on. But anyway, yeah, welcome everybody. Looks like we got a strong streaming base already. So yeah, we were just BSing about where everybody's at and what the situation is. You wanna tell us about Florida, Mike?
Yeah, so I was just at Walmart, and well, let's see, Florida is one of the 6 states that are being put on that the National Guard is being deployed, and so there's a few cases here. Anyway, it says at Walmart, and the bread is gone, spaghetti's gone, sugar drinks are gone, um, vegetables were about half gone. So, but they're kind of keeping up with the stocking though. They have stuff in the back still they're pulling out. But my mom was there earlier, and she got to see one of the customers start to get into a physical fight with or just about get into a fight with a stocking clerk because they couldn't find any toilet paper. So, yeah, it's starting to pick up. The lines. It took about 25 minutes to get 20 to 25 minutes to get through the line at the checkout stand. But overall, it's still fairly well stocked. But it's just people panicking at the.
Is there anything else like with the National Guard in Florida? What are they doing exactly? Are they just being deployed?
I'm not sure exactly what they're supposed to be doing. What is it, 1,000 people across the country?
Mm-hmm.
There's, I think they may be helping with like health checks. There's something
Well,
about.
there's a thousand soldiers supposedly deployed over 6 states.
Yeah, there's
6 particular states.
Right, and they're supposed to be helping out with the medical issues.
National Guard.
I
That
understand.
it's kind of interesting the way that the media portrays it, like the federal government's National Guard. But aren't they? Isn't National Guard still state?
Well, it's supposed to be state. That's interesting.
Right. So wouldn't they
it's
be?
interesting.
What are they soldiers from each individual? So, like there in Florida, Mike, are they Florida National Guard? I would assume.
I would guess so, but I don't know for a fact. But and I don't know if this order came from federal or if this is each state individually deciding to do that. The Miami.
Well, I read it was Trump.
It may be. Now the Miami mayor announced that he came into contact with the Brazilian that was potentially infected.
Yeah.
So he's quarantining himself, and that's yeah. So it's starting to hit close to home here, I guess, in Florida. But yeah, other than that, as far as the National Guard goes. Mm-hmm.
In New York, wasn't the mayor actually called out the governor, sorry, called the National Guard out, right? Cuomo?
That was that town.
Oh, New Rochelle.
Town.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And aren't they my understanding is that they're enforcing lock-ins. Is that right? Basically, you have to stay in your house.
In that town.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? I found it odd that it was just this one town, kind of isolated. What do you think is going on there? I had a conversation earlier today about that. There seem to be a couple possible things. One, like if the town is infected, then whatever that means,
Mm-hmm.
then you could make a case where that's a good idea. And the other is that it's a test. It's a test to see how people react to that. and if they react in a way that like is pretty favorable, then you could just deploy that widely.
I'm option B.
Do
Yeah.
you guys remember
Tend
that
to
there was a
agree, yeah.
Twilight Zone episode where there was one neighbor, they shut the power off in a block, and then they
Oh,
watched
yeah.
as everyone turned on each other.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
guess,
also with exponential growth, if you stop the growth from starting, it has really big benefits in the long term. So, and all the growth curves are looking for the U.S. and the U.S. states are looking exponential. So, cutting off cases where they start, I think, does make a lot of sense. That's the same idea behind the travel bans. It's just a very localized travel ban.
Mm-hmm. There's we had a couple people come through. Other Josh came through here earlier today. He's making his way to Alabama right now, and his girlfriend has a friend in the hospital system in Seattle, and the hospitals there are tapped. They're overflowing right now. Not with the primary issue they have is that from what I understand, is that the hospitals are full, and so it's not like it's everyone who comes in is in crisis. It's that the hospital is full of people who need some level of care, and it's just they're out of beds, they're full, and so it's like you can say, okay, well, the disease isn't that bad, which is in some ways true. Especially if you have some medical care available, but the system is so fragile that that it doesn't take much to break it. It actually doesn't take something that bad to break the system. And if the system breaks, then you're sort of on your own, and society has adapted to an environment where the system is working. So like, what is, it's one of those things where it's like, well, maybe this isn't as bad as the Spanish flu or whatever, but there's a lot more people and the system is extraordinarily fragile. So there's cases to be made for different things being bad that on their own wouldn't normally be.
Yeah, this is where you see the two curves, the steep curve and then the shallow curve. And if you keep your caseload below what your healthcare system can handle, everything's pretty good. All the numbers look good. You get your oxygen, you get your antivirals and all that, and it's pretty treatable. But once you get past that line on the curve where your hospitals are full and there's no more room to help anybody else, then it gets really dangerous, because everybody's suddenly put in the lifeboat, and that's when your cases start to get really bad. So, and that's when your CFR starts to go up, kind of nonlinear. So.
Right, because the hospitals aren't going to all of a sudden quit treating broken arms, heart attacks, other respiratory needs. All that stuff has to keep going, so you're just piling on. I did see where, I think it was an order, where the feds ordered that all elective surgeries be booted out to make room.
Also, if people are in self-isolation, I guess they're at higher risk for getting blood clots in their legs, but they're not falling off the roofs and working on stuff. So,
right.
lot as traffic goes down, I think car crashes is probably the biggest reduction in other types of accidents. So.
And like not having kids at school, good for all sorts of reasons. Because school is a prison basically, but kids get sick at school, and if you just eliminated the regular sick kids load, that frees up a lot. I was listening to somebody who said, like, even if you had, let's say this was just exactly like the seasonal flu, not any worse, but it's a different virus, so it'd be like having a double flu season at the same time. Even that would basically break the hospital system. It's a lot like the supply chain. It's a lot like the supply chain issue with China. So, like, setting aside that people are sick in China, just not receiving goods from China has totally broken the global flow of goods and manufacture of goods because there's no capacity in the system. There's just enough capacity that if everything is working right, everything works. And the medical system is exactly the same.
This guy we're going to have on the show tomorrow, Jeffrey Singer, he's going to speak to the hospitals being overwhelmed with stuff, because he wrote a pretty good article. It's the reason I wrote him, asked him to come on, talking about some different laws that are on the books right now, federal laws, that he said if they just wiped them out, the hospitals would be more free to have more room, more beds. We just talked about all the restrictions that are on hospitals for all those things that are just completely nonsensical, just stupid, especially in a, it's, do we have a crisis or not? The government doesn't want to really say, do we have a crisis or not? Well, but 3 days ago it was 5,000 people or more can't get together. Then yesterday it was 1,000. Then it was 500. Now they're banning, 250 or more people. So 249 is okay? Is it a crisis or not? Well, we're going to close schools for another week after spring break. Well, some schools are going to be down for a month. Well, some schools are just another 5 days. Well, some schools are going to be closed after the end of this week. Next week, we're going to close. So are we having a crisis or not? I mean, crisis is a crisis. You stop everything. You do whatever, right? You would think. So I think it just throws a lot of, no one knows what's going on. So it's just kind of
it's all arbitrary. Yeah, it's all
I think we know as
arbitrary.
much as they know, it seems like. As far as the future, we definitely know as much as they do as far as what the future holds.
Yeah, it's all arbitrary to make it look like they're doing something, or to try to
Right, because
measure.
they don't know what to do yet.
Yeah, they're completely. Yeah, they're guessing on what to do, and but the public demands that they do something.
Right. Unfortunately.
But when it comes to the like school, postponing school or making spring break longer. Well, I saw that problem in my kids. Whenever they play with public school educated kids, they get sick. They don't go to public school, so they don't get sick from public schools. So there's the market-based solution right there to a quarantine. We do it already. We already see the problem's already there. So why would we cause that problem for the flu or a regular cold? So it's already solved for us.
There's an interesting thing with closing of schools that I didn't think about. I was listening to some guys talking about on the radio, and one of them, so apparently 43% of all the nurses in America have kids in school. So who takes care of the kids if they're not in school? I mean, school's a child care service for Americans. And something like 50% of the kids that go to school rely on the schools for their meals. That's where they eat. They get their breakfast, lunch, and a late snack or dinner there. And I mean, the public schools are America's child daycare centers. So how do you just tell however many, it's 99% of Americans with kids who both parents are working because they can't afford to survive. Both parents are living paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of their parents now are no longer, or getting their workload cut back, or no longer going to work at all. Or they're working 4 days a week or 3 days a week. And so how are they going to deal with that? Trump says, let's get rid of the taxes, payroll taxes. And the Democrats were like, Of course, you'll notice that they never want to let you keep your money. They want to take it and give you something back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the handout. But it's, when I listened to that, though, I just realized, because at first I was like, well, this is stupid. He just closed the schools. But it's not that easy. And it brought me back to mind of Dr. Ron Paul. When people would talk to him, as far as foreign policy, he'd always say, we bring the troops home tomorrow, period. Mm-hmm. And then domestic policy, when everyone was like, we got to stop welfare, bro. He goes, you can't pull that plug overnight. You can't, because Americans are too used to it. You have to gradually wean them off. As more freedom allows the economy to grow, you wean people off. But we're stuck. I mean, us four aren't stuck, but the rest of the world, but definitely the United States, they're stuck. They're in a system and they're entrenched in the system, and that's why the federal government has to do something.
Mm-hmm.
God, drives me nuts.
Their mindset was the biggest drawback, and it's something that they've been trained with their whole lives.
Yeah.
There's also, and this kind of goes with the mindset and how our country is very litigious, but if you have events or you keep your workplace open or you keep your school open and everybody else didn't, and then people do get sick, you'll be the first to get sued. So there's kind of a race to cover yourself.
Absolutely. That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Just like all the events and everything, people are, why are they closing down sporting events and blah, blah, blah. They don't want to get sued.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to America. Everyone's got a lawyer on the fast speed dial. Boom. If you don't,
even if your lawyer's on oxygen.
That's right. Give me my pen.
Yeah, it's quite a reckoning. I mean, the economic side of it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, another thing to keep in mind about like the quarantines. It was Italy. Italy did their quarantine, and the word got out just a little bit too early, and a lot of people just fled. And so, from that perspective, the quarantines don't work because they cause people to either find other routes later, or they immediately leave with their stuff. So, Josh, other Josh, I guess, is doing that, right? So,
right.
So the quarantine itself can cause the spread in an unexpected manner.
It's not a quarantine if you announce it, or if it's suspected.
That's where China, you could make the case that if you're going to use the hammer, you got to use it China style.
Yeah, well, even China had the issue. People were escaping over the roadblocks, or getting out of them before they pile the dirt in the road. You're piling dirt in roads going out of town.
Yeah, you can slow things. I mean, there's a really good case for like you were saying, Corey, for just slowing the spread. Like if the spread is slow, then it's not a big deal because it's like it's a bad flu. With treatment, it's like a bad flu that is more lethal. But it's not like anthrax or something like that. But it's the rapid spread that makes it a complete disaster. Maybe.
So what are your guys' I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts, even though we've been talking to each other, for the people watching maybe. What are your thoughts on the government action so far? Too much, too little, get out of our way, screw you. What are you guys taking it at? Do you think they have a clue?
I've thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it, Mike.
I was going to say, I tend to think it's option D that we were talking about earlier. Regardless of whether it's too little, too late, it sets a precedent for putting the military out. There was also some writing about it being a cover for banking collapse in Europe. So, and that it is going to be an event where they bring in a new cryptocurrency-based monetary system in Europe. So this goes in a whole new thing about the repo markets and all that. But is it really for the purpose of the disease, or are they overblowing it on purpose in order to cover for a monetary crisis?
Can it be both?
Could be both. It's a convenient timing.
Never let a crisis go to waste. I mean,
yeah, Rahm Emanuel.
I don't have any doubt that agencies, political government agencies, are freaked out because they have to know that there's only this many beds in America, this many beds in Italy, this many. They have to know that. Of course they do. And they have all their, they know all those things. So, I mean, there's that. And I have no doubt, well, I can't say I know. I don't know, but I assume they're using the opportunity economically also. I don't know if you guys saw the Fed's talking about actually going to zero next week. Interest rates dropping 1 full point. They said it's a 63% will go 1 full point, and 100% they'll go 0.75, 75 basis points next week. And that was why the stock market actually, if you followed the news, I was watching the news and watching the stock market at the same time. And I'm not suggesting people watch the national news because they're fools. I mean, it's all politicized. Fox says one thing, CNN says another. But I was watching an Asian market one. They were actually in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong and Singapore. And when the announcement came out, they were 100% going to at least drop the basis points by 75 or maybe 1 full interest rate point, like 100%. 63% that they'll drop 1 full basis point. The stock market went shot up. It wasn't when Trump was talking and saying all those stupid things that he did. It was Federal Reserve will go to zero interest rates. They're going to pump in billions.
Yeah, what's the final count on the cash injection? Because I've heard 500 billion up front, and then as much as 1.5 trillion over the next couple months. But I've been hearing different things, so I guess it's not known until it's announced by the Fed. But
so the act, what's that act called? Dang it! Whatever act that the president invoked today gives him 50 billion liquid cash to inject to do whatever to fight the disease. But
that's for medical stuff, or is that? Okay.
The Federal Reserve is talking about 1.5 trillion.
Yeah. Okay.
1.5.
Yeah.
It is. I think somebody on the chat group noted. Oh, it might have been when Josh was here, dropping through. He noted that student loan debt forgiveness is being discussed. Like interest on student loans, I think was being suspended. That was like a for sure thing. And on federal student loans, and then like it's a really great way. You have this unsolvable problem of the student loan debt crisis. This is an interesting way to solve that problem under the guise of, responding to a disease outbreak.
What is that's about 1.2 trillion, isn't it, David?
Something like that.
It's over a trillion.
Yeah.
That's a really good.
What's the connection there that just frees up people? It doesn't seem like that has short-term benefits for fighting combating the disease.
Exactly.
It does,
but it's a problem that there's no political way that you could deal with that problem under normal circumstances, because people are like, hey, you know, if you went and got a degree in basket weaving and spent $100,000 doing it, like, sorry, you know, like, you're stupid. But why should I give you $100,000 when I got kids to feed and a mortgage to pay and whatever? Nobody wants to excuse debt to a bunch of social justice warriors who are trying to tear society apart under politically normal circumstances, as an example. So here, then the government basically created those people by saying, hey, we'll let you go to school for free, blah, blah, blah. So they created this problem, and then nobody wants to, it's politically untenable to excuse that debt. So this gives them, it's them using an opportunity to erase a giant problem they created by just pouring money in and then saying, see, nobody can go to school and people can't use their degrees, so we're the ones who lent them the money, so we're going to be friendly and excuse it. It's like a lot of stuff becomes politically tenable right now that wouldn't be normally. And the only tool they have, I think you guys, like you, Corey, and Josh specifically, have been making the comments in the chat about, you know, yeah, you got this fire hose of money, so what do you want to point it at? There's only a few things you can point it at. That's one of them.
Which would be interesting because the Democrats really ride that for presidential.
Yeah, the burn.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's
wipe that out.
Yeah, if Trump forgave everybody's student loan debt, what does Bernie have to run on?
Yep. Not much. What's interesting, though, I mean, isn't this amazing, you know, and it's been over a week that even Ivy League schools, universities have shut down and doing all online classes. So it's like, why did I spend $100,000 to go to this stupid thing when I can do it online? Are you kidding me?
University of Phoenix.
From my parents' basement, I can still go to this stupid school. How many people won't go back? How many people just sit there and go, I got this made?
Yeah, and if you're looking to, just for the class, just to say you want to audit it, a lot of those classes you can just get online on YouTube, and they're free. There's whole lecture series for an entire
That's
class.
what kids are going to find out.
Is school, is it about the education or is it about the certificate at the end? What are you actually buying?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, when
if you can get a certificate sitting at home, though.
I mean,
because Harvard, they're still...
I'm saying a diploma from one university is treated differently in the current market than a degree from another one. So you're lining up to pay for the name on the certificate.
Right. But if you can sit at home and get your Harvard degree, why do you need to go back? I mean, will this create a demand for more online classes from upper-end colleges? How many more kids could get enrolled?
Well, that gets into I've seen a few articles on how come successful universities have limited enrollment.
Scarcity.
They understand that if they create their own scarcity, they can keep their prices high.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all that comes into question.
So they understand that when it comes to them, huh? But nothing else.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Price gouging.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Now with universities canceling class because of coronavirus, then online degrees are even more appealing.
Yeah. Along those same lines, Josh in Seattle brought up the point that like everybody's being forced to go remote right now for work, and there's some stuff you just can't do remote. But he was saying where he works, working remote has always kind of been like looked down upon, even if you can do it.
Mhm.
And a lot of people just have never done it before. So now you have millions and millions of people working remote for the first time, or doing it for an extended period of time, not just a day, but a few weeks. And he was talking about like a lot of these people will probably realize how sweet it is to not have to commute. And how are you going to get them to go back? And then once you have this big base of people who are like, wow, I can do most of my job from home, it starts to undermine some of that whole corporate structure and everything that like public schooling prepares you for. Going
Yeah.
someplace where a bell rings and you do this and then this and then this and then this. And I mean, there are some jobs you just have to go and do, of course, but it'll be interesting. There's many simultaneous, uh, somewhat subversive things happening as a result of this concurrently, all at the same time. And it'd be really interesting to see
just self-reliance.
Sure.
The idea of prepping or having food for yourself for some amount of time is new to a lot of people, and it will be interesting to see how that plays out and how they feel about having done that.
Mm-hmm.
Josh was saying in Seattle, he said traffic's pretty dead right now, and up until he left yesterday, he was saying the narrative in conversation with people was still like, oh, this whole thing's overblown. People shouldn't be freaking out. But I'm going to stay home for the next week. Like, I don't think it's a big deal, but I'm going to stay home for the next week. And so we had a conversation about revealed preference. And it's, what was the term? You had a term for that, Corey. It was
public and private. Yeah, hidden preferences. Or I think it was from Brett Weinstein.
Okay. Yeah, then Gordon Murray, who's the Murray guy, the Europe collapse guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, he talks about that too.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a little list, Dave. I don't know if you can figure out how to put it on the screen.
Douglas Murray. I think Gordon Murray was the guy who designed the McLaren F1. Anyway, it's that. So people are doing that. It's the hidden preferences and revealed preferences, which is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And last time we did one of these, Corey, you talked about competing narratives, and it's really becoming apparent. The competing narratives are really becoming apparent.
Yeah, especially in the stock market, because normally all the big traders say that, oh, you don't trade on the news, but now that's like the only thing left. And like really big swings on a couple words in a whole day of trading will go up or down 10% based on the news. There's like, it's not tied to anything real anymore. It's just highly reactive. The markets have become highly reactive to whatever's being said on, either by the president or the Fed or.
The markets seem to be flowing kind of like people are with toilet paper. I mean, when they see everyone's getting toilet paper, then everyone thinks we need to get toilet paper. When they see the market going down, then everyone thinks, oh, we're supposed to sell, I guess, because everyone else is. Then like today, oh, it's going up. Well, if everyone's buying, I guess I better buy. Why? I mean, you're absolutely right. There's no really rhyme or reason.
Everybody's asking everybody else who's in charge.
Yeah, herd mentality. And Americans are really good. Sorry?
You sent something my way?
Yeah, it's just a little list when you're talking about the preferred.
Preference falsification was the original term.
Yeah, this little thing.
You have one set of beliefs that you falsify in order to get along in whatever society that you're in.
Number 3 on that list I sent you guys wants to appear prepared, but also be respected for their lack of worry.
Yeah, that's the Seattle thing that Josh had been running into a bunch in the last day. Like a bunch of normies, as he would describe them, have been like sending him messages like, "Hey, dude, like everything's cool and stuff, but what would you be doing right now if you were going to be doing something?"
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, exactly. I got a friend. Yeah, exactly.
He's all spun out about this.
I'm gonna share this image here. Let's see. How do I make it big? Here we go. I'm gonna do this. Share screen.
My wife said I was 3, 6, and 8.
3, 6, and 8.
Wants to appear prepared, but also be respected for their lack of worry. Buys 150 pounds of dried beans while wearing a gas mask. Texts his friends. I knew it. Annoyed by CDC updates. Washes his hand less in defiance.
Is that working for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I can see it. Oh.
Yeah. Maybe in a little more and then scroll through.
There might be a way that I can do this. Oh, sorry. That's not good.
I see where you are by that picture behind you, Dave.
Yeah. Is that working? Did I stop sharing?
Yeah, you're no longer sharing. Is that in text form? We could just paste it in the chat.
There we go. Is that working right there?
Nope. No, it's all gone.
Share screen. Share screen.
Oh, she's listening. She said N number 2.
Allow. Okay, here we go. That's working right there.
Okay. There we go.
A little bigger and scroll, you say.
Yeah.
Has a perfect list of necessities, but no time to shop. That's like, I had a conversation with Josh. He was talking about his brother. And he's like, my brother's gold curious. He's always talking about gold, but he's never bought any. Worries about how they will care for everyone if there's an outbreak. Number 3, wants to appear prepared, but also be respected for lack of worry. Number 4, broods over the indignity of possibility of getting the same illness. Oh yeah. As everyone else. Yeah, the hipsters. Listens to podcasts of virologists. Ups their daily potassium and magnesium. Yeah, I've been doing that. Buys 150 pounds of dried beans while wearing a gas mask. Text friends, I knew it. Plans vacation and hopes for school cancellation. Is willing to risk a cheap cruise.
There's a lot of people doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Doug Casey said the best time to go visit a country is right after a war.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the least likely time for another war to break out.
Right.
Annoyed by CDC updates. Washes hands less in defiance. Man, number 9's good. Can't decide if they should be worried. Takes nap instead.
That's the time travel approach. You just go.
Oh yeah.
You go into your time machine and see if things look better in a couple hours.
Yes.
Nope. Still looks pretty bad.
One-way time machine.
Right.
Rad. What do you guys think about the supply of goods here over the next, while? What happens to the supply of goods?
Well, I think stuff from China is, like I said last time, that even the supply chains within China have been disrupted. So components for boards will be, people will have to change their designs to get to be able to use what's in stock, and then new components will be coming out, and so like all of those steps have to fill up before stuff starts going into containers and coming back to Europe and North America, and so it's going to take a while, even if the virus has passed. The ripples in the supply chain are going to persist for a long time. and I think food's probably okay because there's, especially for corn and stuff like that, there's a lot of capacity in the U.S. to grow that, and distribution. If people are in quarantine, it still doesn't take that many people to move lots of goods around in trucks.
National Guard.
Right, they can hire National Guard drivers.
Are people still growing corn though? Because
It's
there's a lot
feed
of
corn
stuff
and
over the
ethanol
last couple-
corn. It's
But a lot of
very
people quit with the trade wars with China. It hasn't been economical. I have friends that grew, they have like 900 acres usually of corn, and it's sitting in their silos, so they quit making it. They quit growing it.
What did they switch to?
Beans.
Soybeans?
Yeah. So I mean, well, they did do soybeans and they quit that too because China buys all the soybeans. But
Okay.
so I don't know. I just wondering, the different things that the United States has done to itself with these impose on itself with these trade wars and embargoes and stuff like that. You're just shooting yourself in the foot in a time of a real emergency, I would think.
There's going to be so many subsidy programs in the next year. It's going to be crazy.
Oh my gosh. I've already been getting emails. Is the coronavirus impacting you? The government can give you a loan, interest-free loans for blah, 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 for small business and stuff.
Right. Assuming that the real problem here is the debt crisis and that the virus is the pin, it's more of the problem that will be poured on this disaster.
Gasoline on a fire, but not in a wood stove.
No, we would never suggest that.
Do not put gasoline in your wood burning stove.
We've been reprimanded before. What you just said, Corey, with the economic crisis part of it. I mean, it may be. I tend to think that it wasn't time for the bubble to pop, but this is kind of forced the issue. It pricked the balloon, maybe. So they're just riding it and saying, "Let's go. Let's tear it down now. Let's do what we were going to do when this happened, anyways." But as far as food, I've been thinking scenarios here, being in Fairbanks, being in Alaska, period, and if they shut down ports for any amount of time, Alaska runs out of food in about 5 days, and we get everything from the port of Seattle, port of Tacoma, whatever. So if there was an outbreak among longshoremen at the ports and stuff, we'd be toast here so quick. And then personally, I've thought about, and one of my sons brought up to me too, that he was thinking about it, was if Trump quarantines all the military bases.
You'll be kayaking through the slough.
Come on. Right. Snow machining right now.
Yeah.
It's still winter here. I know it's hard to believe, but you haven't been gone that long. There's still 3 feet of snow out there.
How could there be snow? It's March.
I know.
The one other side of the supply chain, or the food thing, is that I think a lot of the packing, I don't know this for sure, but I think that a lot of the packing material is probably comes from China. So unless there's some kind of emergency FDA thing where you can change your packing very quickly, there could be food that just can't be packaged and delivered. And I don't think that that's insurmountable. I think that if there's a big enough demand, there'll be some agreement on best practices for shipping in new containers and getting quick approval for that. But they just look at all the the stuff that our food comes in, plastic bottles and boxes and stuff like that. So.
Best management practices.
You know, for packaging, most recyclables go to China right now for sorting and reconstitution. Because it's not economically, you need a large scale to have it be economically viable to recycle.
Well, they've actually stopped that. Was it late last year, they stopped doing accepting plastics for recycling. So now there's a big pileup of recyclable materials in the U.S. they don't know what to do with.
Might be handy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Some good businesses there.
What are you guys eyeing as the market approaches whatever the bottom is over the next couple months? Are you guys looking at anything to act on there? I'm kind of looking at warehousing as a place to park some money.
Did you see that? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think U-Haul, I believe it was, is giving all the college kids that have to leave school free storage.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of stuff. That's pretty interesting because there's only a limited amount. I mean, that's why I think you have a great idea with warehousing. There's only a limited amount of storage.
But free for how long?
Yeah, maybe it's a 30-day. Maybe I didn't read the whole story. 30 days free, then $99.99 every day after.
So you may have a lot of college textbooks and computers in U-Haul auctions coming up pretty soon.
Well, it's okay. If you're in quarantine, then it's subsidized. So.
Yeah. I actually assumed that that's why U-Haul did it, was to get a subsidy. Like, look what we're doing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty smart.
Send me $1 trillion.
So, okay, with all the QE that's about to happen, what do you think about metals and the dollar?
Metals are good. Berwick
it seems like it's always, as there's more cash injected, that sounds like a better and better long-term. Short-term, I don't know, but long-term, that seems like a reasonable place. Not right now, though.
Berwick had a pretty interesting video where he talked about how he screwed up in 2001 and then in 2008 and 9 and not this time. So he said one of the things in 8 and 9, in 1 he was just following standard, mainstream stuff, which was stupid. In 8 and 9, he bought a bunch of mining stocks on the way down, and a bunch of them went to zero. And the time to buy them was like 6 months or a year afterwards. And this time around, he actually sent out a thing, an email or whatever, and he advised that people bail on their crypto and move into like Tether, like stay in the exchange, but move out of, move into a fiat crypto like Tether, USDT. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do that. That would have been a good idea. But he said that stuff's going to go. He said for the same reasons that you're saying, Corey, short-term, long-term, cryptocurrencies and non-institutional exchanges are obviously the future. It's just like obvious. Whether that's in the next year, 5 years, or 10 years, who knows? But it's the future, so you want to be ready for that on some time scale, but you don't want to be in it now because everybody's going to do the same thing that they always do, which is just go straight into dollars, which you saw today. The US dollar index was up.
They are. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on announcement. And but gold's not bad either. I'm not in dollars. I'm in gold right now. I'm in IAU. with the small amount of money I have in the market. It's not anything of note. But there will be a time to move. There will be a time to move out of dollars for sure. Probably into metals. Metals be a good bet. But then there will be even stuff better than metals. There will be stuff to speculate on at the bottom. The opportunities lie at the bottom. And the mistake that a lot of people like us make, that I've made, is you get to the bottom and then you keep waiting for it to go lower. And so I'm asking now on the way down, like, metals are a good thing to move into. I'm already kind of in them. I think, most of us are to some extent. And then what's the other stuff that society is just going to absolutely crave after this, as it restructures, because there's going to be a pretty radical restructuring.
I've actually been waiting to hear the state, someone in the government say that using cash isn't safe and kind of putting a ban on cash.
Well, they're talking about that in Europe.
Oh yeah. Can you turn your mic up a little, Mike? You saying they were talking about that in Europe?
Yeah, they're starting to talk about that in Europe, and I think China mentioned it too. Stand by here.
Right.
I'm waiting for Ben over here to put something up. He put in relation to Trump quarantining bases, and
yeah, they were talking about that in Europe, and of course they're the ones with the real currency problem right now. So they may just be preparing to move to a European cryptocurrency. One of the things that they did a while back was they started accepting Bitcoin as deposit. And so one of the theories is that they're just going to forcefully convert the Bitcoin deposits into the new European crypto. Because that's one of the things that the crypto faces, is that governments aren't going to allow it to be a competing currency.
Right.
Or they're not going to want to allow it.
The underlying technology will just get ripped off.
Right, like they always do, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, so that's the real, I mean, that's the real risk of the private cryptocurrencies is government going to go to war with it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they'll have to if they start their own cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say right now they say it's not an actual monetary thing because they don't have something like it, but they'll eminent domain it, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We've just converted all of your Bitcoin into
Bitcoins.
Uh-huh. Yay! Oh. Maybe it's no coincidence that a month ago the New York Federal Reserve actually said they're looking at doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been talking about it off and on for about 3 years, I think. Setting up their own Fed coin. So,
Yeah.
So it's going to happen at some point. But Europe will be the first ones to do it, or I should say they'll do it before the U.S. does it.
Yeah, that crisis is going to be worse than the dollar crisis. I wonder if the dollar will continue to get stronger even as the Fed inflates, just because the European Union is going to be falling apart.
Yeah, well, that's what people are going to be wanting to move into. So they're going to end up hoarding dollars as much as they can.
Well, they certainly are.
Yeah. So, so that's the next question. What comes after that?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, is that just going to be a new cryptocurrency, or is it going to be like Mark of the Beast type stuff?
Oh, I don't think it's going to just be a cryptocurrency. It's going to be the currency.
Right.
What the heck is that called? Murray Rothbard used to talk about that. They have a name for that, the global currency. There's already a name for it.
Oh, are you talking about special drawing rights?
SDRs. Yeah,
SDRs?
there's
Mhm.
SDRs. There's another name for them too. There's another name for it. I don't remember, and it's not important. But yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, funny. Yeah, what's next? I don't know.
And yeah, and how free is it going to be? I mean, cash is nice because you have some anonymity, and that's why they want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of it because of the anonymity. So if that's the reason they want to get rid of it, then how restricted is the new cryptocurrency, the Fed coin going to be? Is it going to be so restricted that it's not even worth participating in that market?
Well, they run into a fun problem, and this is actually going to happen right now. We're going to see that in 2020, I think, with the restructuring. Everybody knows, everybody in America culturally knows that restriction and regulation is not the way to solve problems, because whenever they have an insoluble problem, an unsolvable problem, what do? Well, let's stop taxing this, or let's pull all the regulations and let the problem solve itself for a while, and then we'll step back in when the crisis is over. And so there's like this implicit understanding that taxes and regulation hurt the organization of market activity. It's like culturally built in, right? And I bet that the Federal Reserve in particular knows that gray market activity in cash is like this fabric that weaves together all these unknown aspects of the economy. I bet they know that. And as you eliminate that stuff, as you go to more and more central planning, they sow the seeds of their own destruction.
Yeah.
They must know that on some level. So it'll be interesting to see how that's managed.
Right. It's kind of like the North Korea under Kim Jong Un. Kim Jong Un, when they had the Great Famine, and the only way they were able to get out of it was by allowing the black market to exist for food.
Right.
That was the way that they ended it. Was getting rid of that regulation. So yeah, that pops up all the time. Yeah, and Trump, there's the Trump had mentioned, had also brought it up of getting rid of the payroll tax for the rest of the year for employers and employees.
Yeah.
And so makes you wonder if it's such a good idea for them to do it for this crisis. Why not just have it done all the time?
People are
that's probably why the Democrats or certain politicians are against it, because it will expose the good that it can cause, and then people just say, we already have this precedent set, so let's just get rid of the IRS. That's why it's so dangerous to do that.
Even though we shouldn't just pick on the Democrats, because
what
I read was that the Republicans, I'm not just saying you, Mike, but I said Democrats earlier too, but Republicans in the House were like, no, that's a dead end. We're not getting rid of the payroll tax. But Trump it looks like he's negotiating, he's going to cave on some things that he's been pushing back on himself, it looks like, to see if he can get them to change their mind on that. Yeah. So I think it'll be kind of a double whammy where payroll taxes may be suspended for a while, and then welfare, there'll be a exponential amount of welfare hitting the markets too, hitting people, which would be astounding, because basically you're taking away, I think it's 63% of all, or 80 something of all the government's income, and yet they're spending hundreds of billions on top of it.
Well, the spigots are open now.
Yeah.
There still might be deflation in the short term too, because the rate at which credit will collapse and the rate at which asset values like houses will fall.
Now, is that good or bad? What do you think? Deflation, a period.
I don't know. I think it just is.
It is, yeah.
But it's like, man, there's so many moving parts right now.
And no one's in control.
And no one's, well, it's apparent that no one's in control finally.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Right. Yeah,
It's like the little car, the beginning of Simpsons where, Marge is driving the car and Maggie, little baby, has the steering wheel next to it.
Yeah.
And it's just like turning it. It's totally that. It's like, I turned right. Oh, we went left. I mean, I turned left.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's a great thing. I mean, for people that want to see decentralization and stuff like that.
Well, but you only see it in a crisis. People make the association that this is anarchy and people are dying and there's no food. So then they ask for someone to come back into control to fix it. It from the government's perspective, it's a great time to let go and show people what happens when the government's not there to be in charge.
Yeah, I mean, there's always those people are always around. There'll be those there'll be the remnant that's been sitting back waiting to see the proof of it, that are finally going to go, aha, some of those radicals I've been listening to are right. The emperor has no clothes. I mean, I'm just looking at anything positive in it. There's plenty of negative, but there are some silver linings. There are.
Yeah, there are. That's for sure.
Public schools closing. It's like, oh, right. Yes. Public schools need to close, and not because of the coronavirus. Public schools should not be in existence anyways.
I had a little bit of a talk with other Josh about supply chain and the scale of businesses these days too, and that related to this. This is like part of the structural problem of society. I have a product that I make for a customer. Right now they buy 2,000 units a year. They buy 1,500 units a year from me. That's growing rapidly. It'll probably be 3,000 or 4,000 next year. And they have been in contact with a large automotive about selling 40,000 of these units per year. And so my friend and he contacted me and said, dude, we might sell 40,000 of this. Like it's a long shot, but it might happen. And we were clicking our heels together at the possibility of that, because that's real deal business for us. The reason we might get that work is because this major automotive company can't find a vendor who will do a small run of 40,000 units for them. It's too small for anyone to do for them.
Wow.
And because there are structural reasons where, in order to do things economically with the way that many large businesses are run and supply chains are organized, you have to have huge economies of scale for it to work. And you see this to the extreme in technology. I mean, you see it to the extreme in technology, because a lot of stuff in technology is really hard to manufacture. So Josh and I were talking about that, and we were talking about a structural reorganization of society, providing an opportunity for like these medium-sized businesses to actually be cost competitive. And that might, you can't imagine getting there from where we are now without everything getting messed up, right? Because these big economies of scale come with this very fragile, very exact supply chain management thing. And anytime that's disrupted and the cost of that fragility is shown, it creates an opportunity for smaller ventures to actually fit in. Because maybe I can't be the cheapest guy, but I'm going to be more reliable than this guy. Because like when I screw up, you're going to lose 1,000 and you'll be able to recover from that. But when your other guy screws up, you're going to lose 100,000 and your company's going to go under. So what risk are you willing to take? So that's another, like, to me, that's another silver lining where, like Mike and I have talked about this a little bit. You have an idea for a venture, but to get the venture moving, you need so much upfront that you just can't do it. And that's like a byproduct of it's a byproduct of the structure of business and the requirements of scale right now. And those might go away. They're likely to go away to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Also, well, okay, what do you think about the location of manufacturing? Do you think I could see a case, at least for some types of industries, for a move back to more regional manufacturing for some types of products?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. People are talking about that. Yeah, which has costs and benefits.
Because then you have to pay for redundancy, and there's a huge advantage in the market to cut out redundancy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You either right. Yes, that's right. Well, and one of the things is one of the things that stable General Motors and Toyota select suppliers for different reasons. General Motors shops exclusively on price, and many of their suppliers fire them. Like they're not always having to, but they often have to find new suppliers because they don't treat their suppliers well. They push the price way down to the point where the supplier is barely happy to have the contract. Toyota shops on lowest total cost, which is a system where quality is way up and way up the hierarchy of that. So quality is above price because total price is a function. Total price is the peak of the pyramid, and it's based on the price and the quality. Because if the quality sucks and you have to replace the thing, or you have a recall, you blow up the 50 cents you save per car when you have to replace 100,000 cars or fix 100,000 cars. That way of thinking is going to come back in a big way, and that's one of the areas where local supply, where you have more control. It costs more, the price is higher, but you have control over quality through the relationship. So that'll be a thing that happens as a result of this for sure. Because like right now, empty warehouses and empty shelves are not working for large corporations. They're losing huge amounts of money over that. But like my company hasn't suffered that bad yet because, it hasn't been a big deal. I can keep I have my inventory in my basement. It's just not a big deal. But if I were making $1 million of something, and I had a razor thin 0.5% margin on everything, I would have zero inventory and a massive facility, and any disruption would kill me.
Yep.
Perhaps made a greater customization in various products. That's the same. What you're describing is similar to like the embroidery. You can send stuff off to design off to China and have 100,000 embroidered, right? Well, you don't want 100,000, you want 200. So you go to some local lady with an embroidery machine. A lot of people make decent money off those machines at home, and it's because of the customization and the smaller quantity that's desired by the customer. So maybe more of that.
Yeah.
It'll also be interesting to, well, we probably won't see it, but the relationships formed during the next few months when people still need stuff, but they can't get it from their traditional suppliers. They'll be forced to reach out and talk with their neighbors or talk with local suppliers who they normally wouldn't do business with because they already have a contract, and they might find that they unintended benefits to working with people near you. In a way that this whole thing, just like quarantine, it kind of forces people together, but also economically.
I was thinking about that too, Corey, and I thought about that with the neighborhood, neighbors, friends type of thing, reacquaintance in that area. But I was thinking about that also with with the public schools being closed, parents and kids being reacquainted with each other by force.
Wow.
I mean, they're forced to, right? So they're being reacquainted with each other, and parents who have thought, or maybe if they haven't thought, but specifically parents who have thought about wanting to homeschool their kids, but oh, it's impossible, I can't do it. They're going to be forced to homeschool their kids, and they're going to find out I can do this.
They're also going to be spending the most time that they've, for some families, have ever spent together.
Ever spent. Yep. That's where I meant about the reacquaintance. Like, oh, I'm your parent, and
Right.
you know, families might figure out, especially if you take away the payroll tax. Families very well may find out, hey, we can live on dad going to work. We can live on one income now. I can actually stay home and take care of the kids, or the other way around. You know, maybe mom goes to work and dad, whatever. But it's huge. The upside that could happen, and if 10 families decide to do that, it's going to be more than that. There'll be thousands of families, I'm positive, that are going to reconnect and see, wow, we can do it's not that hard. What? Because all I'm hearing is how hard, I mean, for this last week especially, with teachers, you know, they've got the hardest job in the world, blah blah blah. Yeah, because they have 35 kids in there, right? So parents think, well, I can't take care of my kids. Look at those teachers. Oh, how do they do it? You've got 2 kids. You can do it.
Yeah, they're gonna see it's a lot easier than what they're thinking.
Absolutely.
Especially with online resources like Khan Academy.
Yeah. Ron Paul homeschooling.
Yeah.
Khan Academy. MIT. Everything's free there, right?
Right.
Is it MIT? Yeah. I mean, that's
all the lectures.
more advanced, but yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, and all the people working remote.
Yep. Could be a huge resurgence in the family.
Yeah, there's going to be people who remember growing up at
Right.
this time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an exciting part of it. Can be.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this probably because it could affect me personally. Excuse me. I guess I don't need to turn away. I can't really cough on you guys.
Good practice.
If the coronavirus actually hits the oil industry, like actual infection. So I was thinking about if the North Slope, they have an infection up there. Like
On the rig.
You know, there's 6,000 people living at Park in very confined quarters. That would spread that fast, and they would shut down all of Prudhoe Bay overnight. They'd have to. They would have to. And I don't see how they can stop it from. One of my brothers in North Dakota said that they have to sign a paper before they go on the oil fields there right now, saying that they're not sick, they haven't been sick, blah, 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 all this stuff. But it's like, your livelihood depends on you driving this truck and delivering this thing to the oil company, right? Yes, I have coronavirus. No one's going to write that down. They're going to say, nope, feeling great.
Well, what about the ones who are asymptomatic? They don't even know.
Right.
Just take
That's
one of them, right?
That's the biggest thing.
You could even not feel well, but say you're asymptomatic.
Yeah.
If it does turn out that you were sick, it's a good out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, no, I guess we'd probably see oil prices go up then. Maybe they haven't thought of that yet. Maybe we'll all of a sudden see a bunch of the people in the oil industry get sick.
Well, there's a lot of fields all over the world, though. So.
There's a lot of games being played simultaneously here.
Yeah. For money.
Yeah, right. And because it's a synchronizing event, it's kind of forcing everyone to play their hand at once, which makes it very confusing.
And some people have cards, and some people have dice, and some people have chess pieces.
Some people have checkers. Some people are just playing marbles.
Yeah.
Well, especially when the central banks open the spigots, like you were saying, Corey. Once that happens, everyone's vying for position to get as much as they can. The free money.
Is it? It seems rational to get in line. Are there cases when you just say no? I'm not doing that, or is it like better get the getting is good in terms of signing up for subsidies or whatever?
I'm going to refinance my houses.
Right, that's the kind of thing I was thinking. I mean, refinancing and stuff like that, of course. I don't think a guy needs to go on welfare, like handout type of thing, but I mean, everyone already does it, wherever just in normal life, wherever the Federal Reserve's pumping money, whatever industry or area, that's where things start growing and more people migrate to that area.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a good question in the sense that you wouldn't want to restructure your business, your life around those subsidies.
Right.
Yeah, you'd want to make your life anti-fragile. But like if I get a payroll tax waiver, I'm taking that. Like no doubt.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's that is literally the most exciting thing I heard. I was happy about schools closing down. Then when I heard about payroll taxes shutting down, like, oh, please. Another thing it's done to all of us on this thing right now, we're all actually watching the news. I mean, maybe not physically on TV or whatever, but we're actually following what's going on way more than any of us ever have. Way more. I mean,
are you saying that's a positive, or?
I've actually watched Fox News, CNN, MSNBC.
That sucks. No.
Pretty good for a laugh, though.
Right, for sure. It's fun seeing the competing narratives.
Wow, this is a serious disease.
Yeah. Mental disorder.
That's watching this. Yeah.
You've watched all of those.
Figured that out, actually. It actually melts your brain cells.
It's got us talking to each other a lot more, and like my buddy Adam, he listens to the show. He comments sometimes during the stream. He hit me up today, and we were talking about all sorts of stuff related to this. He also sent along the Lindsey Graham trying to ban all cryptography technology link. He's looking forward to the show tomorrow. He sent me a note saying that.
Cool.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
It's neat. Like everybody knows that everybody's full of BS right now, and so it's like we're going to each other as people we respect more than the people in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're good filters for each other, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
This might be an opportunity. One of you guys said it. Maybe it was you, Corey. Might be an opportunity where people do try to become a little more self-reliant. I mean, guys, maybe folks that normally were, but have kind of gotten out of it, just kind of going with the flow. And then all of a sudden, man, I knew better than this. How come I'm not prepared for scenario A, B, or C a little bit more than I am?
Yeah, that also. I'm just thinking of people who have never thought about it at all, and for them to see that shelves in the U.S. can go empty, and that the government would allow that to happen. Not that they prevent it from, or that they keep it from happening normally, but I think that there's kind of a shaking of faith in the whole system that could come out of this.
What? Mike, what are you rolling up here with Hal Turner? I told you not to listen to him.
Just popped up.
There could be. that's just in a private chat. I forgot to log in again, so I can't go on the live chat. But Mike put on the private chat here from the article. It says all interstate travel to be halted. Where you are is where you'll stay when it happens Sunday.
Very, very questionable source, by the way.
Correct. But
interesting.
It's a possibility.
Because Trump did make a comment that he was open to halting domestic air travel.
Correct. And he's also said that, gosh dang it, it's kind of ticking me off. I can't remember. What is the act that he invoked today?
Is it Stafford?
Stafford. Thank you. I knew it was some stupid quarterback's name. Stafford, who sucks. Yeah, the Stafford Act. So he says that he has memorized that thing front to back. And he mentioned it several times that, I know it front to back. I've memorized the whole thing. It's huge. It gives me a lot of power. You don't even know the powers that it gives me. And I'm going to be using them all. Yes, he said that.
Oh, man.
Like, you people don't even know the powers that this gives me. And I've memorized it inside and out. Or front to back, something like that. So he's not, and we know that he's an authoritarian piece of crap.
It's like a drunk in a liquor store?
Yeah, he is an authority. He loves presidential power.
Yeah.
And I think that he actually loves it because he thinks he's doing something good. You know, he thinks he can do good with his power, but there's nothing worse than someone who uses authority to do good. Like C.S. Lewis said, there's the band that goes out and robs, kills, and steals, knowing that he's done wrong, and he's satisfied for a while. I did all these things. I feel okay about it. I'll just lay down. I'll lay low for a while. Where the do-gooder, he comes in, and because he's doing good, he's never satisfied. He never sleeps. He wants to keep doing good with his federal power. Lewis didn't say anything about federal power, but just authoritarian power. The authoritarian who thinks he's doing good never rests.
Perhaps the only thing worse than a statist using state power to do bad is a statist using state power to try to do good, right?
For sure. Yeah.
You can't hug a child with nuclear arms. The thing Corey was talking about was very interesting and fits into the doing good, Trump doing good. Looking towards more local minds for discernment of truth, which is like what we're doing now. It's kind of the definition of community. It's like, if there's two main ideas competing for each other right now, those are the two. Is everyone's looking for the authority, who's right, and the competing idea is looking to each other to not determine who's right, but to ask the question, what's the right thing to do now, and then next, and then next. And in order to, everybody's trying to figure out where is this going ultimately, and the truth is no one knows. So a more useful question is, what's a wise thing to do right now? And that is only a momentary bit of information. And so then you have to ask in the next moment, what's the right thing to do now? And then what's the right thing to do now? And the only way you can get that moment by moment thing is if you actually have a community that you can reach out to of people you trust. And so those are the two competing narratives that, like, in my mind.
Yeah, it's a bit of a distributed decision-making network.
And you have to keep revisiting it.
Yep. And because you're revisiting it, you can keep changing the weights on each person that you listen to based on how their last prediction or the last action you took based on something they said works out. So. but you're not looking at your TV or your politician or whoever for the answer.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
do you guys want to call it there? We got a show tomorrow with some more Cato guys coming on to talk about COVID-19 specifically.
Yeah, it'd be pretty good, I think. I was just reading something from Aaron here. It looked like he's trying to find toilet paper. So he's in North Dakota. So
Did he get caught out?
Yeah. He went to some truck stops and he said he went to a few truck stops and was able to get 56 rolls, which he doesn't necessarily say he bought them. He might have just been doing a walkthrough in the bathroom.
How many truck stops did he have to stop at? 60?
Yeah, it doesn't say. It doesn't say. So he drove to Bismarck, North Dakota, went to the Sam's Club. He said it's packed and almost completely empty of goods. And then my brother Daniel said that he said, I placed a decent sized order with As Your Standard. They're a bulk food place. And he said almost all the stuff was no longer available. So he could make his order. Then Aaron just sent me something else, said that there's no toilet paper in North Dakota.
Yeah, you got to build an ark before the rain starts falling.
Well, and you also got to think outside the box, like we were talking about Home Depot and
Home Depot's great. Yeah.
Lowe's. They have a lot of things that you wouldn't think about, like cleaning supplies and hand sanitizers, toilet paper, paper rolls, paper towels. And I know some people today, like the toilet paper, if it's gone, they were going to the hunting section and getting the outdoors toilet paper
it's a good time to be a plumber because a lot of people are going to flush that stuff.
Oh yeah, and it ain't gonna go. I thought about that today with all the people that were buying baby wipes. So I went to Walmart with my wife today. There's people are buying baby wipes like crazy. I was like, those aren't flushables.
What do you think about people buying? What do you think about people buying water? That nowhere have we seen water utilities go under. In Iran, they saw water usage go up because people were washing hands more and they were home more. But we haven't seen utilities break. But it seems people are buying lots of water, even though that has not been a problem. I guess it's because it's cheap, and if the water does turn off, it's a really high risk, and it's cheap to insure yourself. But
if you have to drive somewhere, or if you think you're going to have to go somewhere, it's easy.
Well, I've wondered how many people. Cause I know a lot of people that just drink bottled water at their house. They don't drink tap water.
That's true.
So I wondered if part of it's just, hey, they're buying water. We better buy water too, or we're not going to have any because we only drink, whatever.
I wonder if it's a bit of a run on it's just a run on the bank, and people are treating some of these things as currency or as future currency,
or at least their own currency,
like cigarettes.
Yeah. They're well, when you walk into Walmart, the first thing, as soon as you walk through the door, there's a ginormous pallet of water sitting there. It's the first thing they have that right up front.
Good product placement.
Yeah. No giant wall of toilet paper, though. It's all gone.
Just pictures of it on an empty pallet.
You could have had this if you were smarter. Now you have to buy the Scott's 1000 roll for your fingers.
No. You might as well just go to the sandpaper aisle at Home Depot.
Aaron wrote that too. He goes, looks like I'll be buying sandpaper because there's lots of that.
God.
I love it. I do love it. Wow,
Okay.
you see what Adam's putting up here real quick?
Yep.
Oh, is that on the YouTube?
Toilet paper. Yeah, toilet paper and rice not available in Anchorage.
Wow.
Yeah, they're out of rice at Walmart too. Here.
Oh yeah, he says they're cashing in their USD coupons for prizes. You know, this is what Aaron saw at
Wait,
his
what?
store. This is what Aaron saw at his store when Obama got elected.
It sure is. Yep.
Everybody bought everything, even when he was out of stuff that was worth having. People had money and wanted to get something to make them feel like they were prepared.
Yeah, that's something I experienced. This was several weeks ago. I was like pretty emotionally shut down because this is just when stuff was coming out of China, and as soon as I went and I just bought something, I felt a lot better.
Sorry, we're playing games in here. What did you buy? What did the something?
Cleaning products and a little bit of food. It was I knew it was not enough to be competing with the YouTube chat.
I'm visualizing too much stuff. I'm sorry.
I think that's what Adam is saying, is that like you got money, but like you can't do anything with it. And so if you buy anything with it, it's better than money in a time when money might not help you.
Right.
Yeah.
He says, Adam says, I now sleep with a can of soup.
Oh my gosh.
Sleep with a roll of toilet paper too.
I've been thinking about Aaron's store. Imagine if he had that thing rolling in Fairbanks right now. He would be just rolling in cash. Oh my gosh!
But what would he do with it? You can't eat your cash.
You can use it as toilet paper.
Yeah.
It's better than a wire brush.
If there's enough quantitative easing, it might be a good use for it.
Yeah. Quantitative easing's really messy.
Unless it's like that.
Just like running out of toilet paper.
That joke where the guy says, "Well, just use your. You got $1?" And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, just use $1." He comes back, his hands are all full of crap. He said, "What? I thought you said you had $1." He said, "Yeah, you try wiping with 3 quarters, 2 dimes, and a nickel, though."
Oh man, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm glad that the theme of this outbreak is toilet humor. Couldn't be any better.
Well, it's good that we're doing it now instead of when on the radio show. We just kind of got like the tight group on here, so it's okay. I don't think anyone watching is surprised right now.
Is Scott's publicly traded?
Oh my gosh, we all missed out.
Yeah, I bet it'd be a good time to buy a toilet paper company.
Yeah. Well, are they owned by another, like Johnson and Johnson? Or? I don't know.
They weren't, because remember when
Kimberly Clark,
the Scotts actually got shot by the feds. Remember that back in the 90s, I think it was? They were doing a no-knock raid, and they got the wrong house, and it was actually one of the Scotts that they killed. A drug bust.
You guys got to check this out.
What do we got?
You got to check this out. Check out the stock ticker for Kimberly Clark.
Oh yeah, they own Scott. Yeah.
Yep. February. Well, let me go back further. I'm looking at a 1-month chart. Let me look at a 6-month.
Ooh, poised jump.
Yeah, they've taken a hit, like down to 122, but their peak was 146, right? So they only dropped. They dropped less than 20%. The market. They dropped less than 20%.
1 year they're up 11%,
Yeah,
and they're 3 months they're only down 1.5%.
man, I'm moving into Kimberly-Clark until this toilet paper shortage is over. Stock ticker KMB.
Okay.
Bill Gates steps down from Microsoft board.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw
a
that
bunch of
earlier.
CEOs
and
left in the last few weeks.
Berkshire Hathaway too.
Wow.
Yeah, the rumor is they're all bugging out to their bug out spots, and
Yeah, or it's just not a very good time to be a CEO or
right.
Rich. It's not a good time to be rich, period. Even though, thank goodness, we have a bunch of billionaires, because wasn't Gates the one that, didn't they invent some kind of a home test that they already have on the market, or they're just waiting for the feds to let them put it on the market?
Yeah, one of his companies did, or one of his companies did, yeah. Because he has a lot of investment in vaccines and disease-related products.
Yes.
Man, toilet paper is legit. You're right, Dave. Those guys, they're climbing.
KMB, that's the pro investment tip of the day. But I'd wait for them to drop a little bit. That market rebound today.
Yeah, it's fake.
Yeah, it's fake.
I believe.
it's going to flush a little bit.
Yeah, it'll flush right out.
With nothing to wipe it.
Wipe away any gains. Yeah. The puns, they write themselves to that.
Oh, man. Yeah, we got to get this out of our system before we have a guest on tomorrow.
Yeah, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's radio. It'll be fine. So that's 9 o'clock Alaska time tomorrow.
The guest will be on. I might actually find out. Sorry.
Cato Institute is a doctor on infectious diseases.
He's going to be on for a half hour and 11 a.m. Arizona time. Oh, so he'll be on the 9 o'clock. Yep.
9 o'clock.
Okay.
What's the
Arizona's
guy's name?
Mountain time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's his name is Jeffrey Singer. He's a senior fellow at the Cato Institute. He's a doctor. He doesn't specialize in infectious diseases. He gave me some names of some folks to get a hold of that are also a part of the Cato Institute. But he is a surgical doctor, and he said he has a lot of thoughts. And he said the biggest thing was he had what he thinks is a good libertarian take on free market versus the government being involved in this.
He's going after certificate of need.
Yep.
Super cool.
Super cool. Yeah, he'll be good, no doubt.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, Corey, I think you're the one that suggested this tonight. Thanks. It's a good idea.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Good weekly wrap up.
Yeah.
I have to say, I took a little bit of break from the news. It's too much screen time in the last couple of days, so I was outside for a lot of the day, and that was good.
Nice.
I was watching the Diary of Anne Frank. It was less depressing. On a serious note, I suppose, we all got family. We all know people traveling, indecision, all of that stuff. We probably should remember to be in prayer for our family members and friends and stuff. Josh in Seattle is no longer Josh in Seattle. Thinking about him, praying for him. It's a long trip. And, we don't know what the future holds, and we don't need to know what the future holds. We just need to know the one that holds the future. It's cliche, but it's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's it.
More fun if you don't know what it holds, right?
Yeah. These kind of podcasts would be pretty boring if we knew. Unless we're the only ones that knew, then it'd be pretty legit. We would be monetizing right now.
Kimberly Clark.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Really neat. Wow, no idea.
Sweet.
So, I believe, David, you possibly could be traveling tomorrow. So we probably won't be seeing you. Corey, we're
Depends.
going to see you.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mike, of course.
Yep.
I hope
As long as my internet holds out.
get a new headset and be ready to roll tomorrow.
Cool.
Great.
Well, thanks for
All right,
hopping on, everybody.
Yep. Have a good
Yeah.
night.
We'll see you tomorrow
See
at
you.
9 Alaska time.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Dave.